Okay, let's do like a very, very brief little chat about that. Hey pals, if you've heard the news, then you don't need to know why I'm making this video. But if you haven't heard it, basically, recently, Unity announced a change in their upcoming licensing plans, which would essentially destroy a huge chunk of their developer base's profitability and chance in the industry. Essentially, they've announced that all future games and existing games which sell above a certain threshold and to a certain amount of users will be charged 20 cents per install. If you make a free-to-play game with in-app purchases or a game that is on something like a PlayStation Plus or a subscription model, that those games will now essentially owe Unity a good portion of their profits. Many of you have asked me in the last couple of days whether or not this affects my development and Insignia and how badly it does, whether I'm going to be changing engines over and over again. I can't get away from it. So I thought I'd make this quick video to keep you guys in the loop and tell you what I think about all this drama. So, look, obviously it's super disappointing as someone who has been working on one Unity project in particular for like 6 years. When I chose Unity as an engine in 2015 to learn game dev in, and then have been working on Insignia since 2016 pretty consistently in the one Unity project since 4.7 or whatever. I didn't make that choice to learn this engine with the idea that the one project that I started then would somehow undergo some kind of like weird tax. Also, as a Unity Plus user, someone who pays a monthly subscription to use Unity, it's kind of sucky to know that one, the tier is going away. So for me to continue having the privileges that I have, which aren't that much these days anyway, as a Unity Plus user, that I have to pay more for those. This loyalty or like this commitment that I've made to paying a certain amount of money gets me nowhere. Right? So the subscription is kind of voided. I might as well have been using Unity Basic. And now also a portion of my profits get like eaten into. So it's pretty crappy from my side. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't seem right. It's not like what I would like. Because of this and a number of other issues with Unity, let's be honest, if you've been watching and following the company for the last 5 years, you know that they're not committed to making the best game dev engine that they can and maintaining the best relationships with their user base. It's just not the case, right? They make decisions that fly in the face of that goal, which means that's not their priority. Their priority is acquiring new business, not keeping their existing customers happy. So, all of that said, I probably won't be using Unity 5 years from now. I am very familiar with it. I've put a lot of time and energy into it, but I'm still probably looking to transition to a different engine after Insignia is finished, because I just don't trust the future of the company. I don't want to reward them with my usage. Now, on this particular issue of revenue scraping, I guess I'll call it, that I feel, for me and my bottom line, it's not going to affect much of my profit. If it's the gross profit and it's 20 cents that they're sort of taking this up, it's based on installs, that will be less than 1% of what my game makes. So I lose less than 1% of total profit to this. That's still a significant number if the game makes a lot of money. 1% of, let's say the game makes $1 million. That's still 10K, right? So that's not nothing. It's appreciable. But it's not as bad as someone whose install base is much, much bigger than their revenue. So if you have 2 million users and you get per user on average 10 cents, Unity will essentially take all of your revenue. That's it. They'll just take all of it, because 20 cents per user is more than you're making, right? So that's a real issue for a particular genre and slice of the market. A particular monetization strategy is disincentivized by this choice, to the point where it makes a number of things, not just free mobile games, but PlayStation Plus subscriptions or like those kinds of subscription-based services, those all create problems for game devs and publishers who want to work with this, because we don't know how much we're going to make And sometimes, you know, if things are weird enough, Unity might be taking a huge chunk of the profits, maybe more than the profits themselves. Stepping back away from the actual issue and more just towards like what I think will happen and whether or not I'm bothered by this. I'm actually not that bothered by it because I don't think it's going to stay. I don't think this is going to stick. It's too stupid. It doesn't make sense. And I don't expect them to even be able to follow through with it. I don't expect Unity to be able to successfully implement this feature without creating huge issues for like legal issues too. Like how do they actually certify the number of installed users? How do they protect from faking of installs, or how do they tell the difference between a demo and an early access version? So I'm not really bothered by most of this stuff because I just don't see it happening. I don't see them committing to this. It just doesn't seem like it's viable as a plan. If they commit through it, you know, then next game will be different, I guess. Yeah. Would I move to Unreal or Godot? I don't think Godot is ready. I just don't think it's there. I think it needs more time. I think it is a great start. I've said this before. Godot I think of as the Blender of the game engine space. It's great that it's open source. It's great how lightweight it is and how user-friendly and that it's doing everything right. But it'll need a bit more time before I would consider using it for like a full-scale game dev project. I just don't trust it yet. So Unreal is basically the only like real engine that I would consider using at this point for future development. I know GameMaker has come a long way. I probably wouldn't use GameMaker. I mean, I'm looking to get into more 3D game dev anyway, so Unreal is a pretty good choice. There are other engines out there, and smaller open source projects or even just like indie projects of game engines that I am keeping my eye on. There's a streamer here on Twitch, Cherno, who's making his own engine, and that's great too. I want to see where that goes and how far he takes it. But these things take a long time to get to a point of industry standard, like production software level, and that's the position that Unity is in and what they're abusing right now. They're abusing the fact that they have a large kind of lead on the industry and a huge base of developers who have an investment in their platform. Because in the short term, all these people who use Unity won't not be using Unity. They're just going to keep using it until it becomes prohibitive for them to keep doing it. And so Unity will continue to be predatory until it hurts them in their revenue spot, which is, you know, their share price is dropping because of this thing, but it might be 5 years before they really suffer. And I also have a feeling that companies this large that make decisions like this, it's not that the company is self-serving, it's that the executives are self-serving. The executives will jump ship. They'll take what they can, leaving the rest of it in shambles. It won't recover as an engine if it keeps going down this road. It won't. It'll just be abandoned. It's just a bad business sense with no real long-term vision, leading to the suffocation and downfall. What sucks is that in the meantime, so much value gets lost. So much effort in, like, for me, all my custom tooling, right, that I work with in my game, all of the energy that I put into learning Unity and contributing to the community of Unity developers, that all gets kind of lost and washed away. It's just like hugely inefficient. So that's how I feel. You can clip that, and then we don't have to talk about it anymore.